What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. We're out here working on my dad's car this week, so let's get into it. Well, before we really get into this thing, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a backstory on what this car is and kind of what we're doing to it. So it's a 1989 IROC Z. It started out as a 305 automatic car. A friend of mine had it when we were living out in Georgia, and I ended up picking it up from him for, I don't know, a few $100s or so. And I, it didn't really run that great. I put an ignition system in it and got it to where I was pretty happy with it. I was daily driving it for a little while. You know, like I said, 305 was LB9, so it had a TPI on it. And then let's see. Fast forward a little bit. My little brother gets a driver's license and is looking for something to drive, and we worked out a deal. Actually, I traded this car to my father for a Ford 9-inch, a Mosier 9-inch for my white Camaro. My brother Jack, he ended up with it as his first car. I guess there was some horse trading or something that went along with that, so that Jack could get it from my dad. Like, he didn't just give it to him. And then some time went by, and Jack and I, we put a 5.3 and a 4L60E in it. It was one of the original, like, $2,000 LS swaps, and it really was. We did everything ourselves. It had a factory GM PCM in it with a harness and everything else, and it was a spunky little car. The car ran, I think, oh gosh, it had some weird things with the tune that I wasn't super impressed with, but it ran really good mile an hour, if I remember right. And it had, I think, 273 gears in it at the time. I think it ran like 99 mile an hour, so it may have ran maybe low 14s, but at really good mile per hour. And it wasn't that it was spinning or anything like that. It was just that the car wouldn't accelerate for the first 200 feet of the racetrack. So I remember I did put a set of 410s in this after a while, and we never had a chance to baseline the thing again. Fast forward another few years, and Jack and Dad work out a deal again, and Dad ends up with it back, and he really enjoyed it. Well, it's one of my earliest LS swaps, and there's a lot of things that we did that when we were just learning how to do a lot of this stuff, and some corners that we cut that maybe we didn't think we were cutting, but ended up happening. And there's some stuff that it doesn't work very well. It doesn't run very well. It doesn't want to stay running. Seems like we've got a fuel delivery issue. So we're going to dive into this thing a bit. I was really kind of hoping to baseline this car performance-wise before we got into the really fun goodies. But the thing runs so poorly that I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I don't think I could get this out of the neighborhood without having a significant problem. So we're going to dive into this thing today, or over the course of the next few evenings. I'm going to put a fuel pump in it, and I'm going to rebuild the suspension. A few things that we'll need to do right away. First thing, we'll need to get the muffler out of the way. Man, look at that big old clod of dirt hanging off the exhaust there. This thing is really low to the ground. I've got a set of springs to hopefully get that fixed though. And I'll take a look at, let's see, rear end's got to be basically lowered to the ground, and then the tank can come out. There we go. Forgot how many heat shields and crap are in the way on a stock 3rd gen. We did this once already and we put all this crap back. That's kind of impressive, actually. All right, down we go. Springs out. According to the gauge, this is a full tank of gas. Oh, you know what? I should probably disconnect the hoses. Back in you go. I forgot these hoses. That was almost a bad deal, man. I had that thing all suspended up above my head, no hardware, nothing, and then I realized that the hoses were still on. Come on. Ooh, that is terrible looking. All right, let me get a bolt. That gasoline is yellow. Oof. It is getting everywhere. Here. I think I'm gonna pump some of that out. All right, now we're doing the thing. And good golly, that almost looks like, whew, that almost looks like an IPA. Yeah, so gasoline is definitely varnished. Man, it is smelly. I'm gonna have to take a shower before I get to bed tonight. Don't go everywhere. Got maybe 5 or 6 gallons out of it. All right. Need a new O-ring there. Okay, get that out. All right, I think we're ready to come back down. All right, now it won't be completely empty, but it should be a lot better. Oh, okay. Just try and get these out of the way wherever they can go. There we go. Yep, got it. Out. Oh, that was very graceful. Let's crack this dude open and see how bad it looks inside. There's still some fuel in it, but looks like we put a sending unit in it at some point. This all looks pretty new. Oh no. That is not what I was hoping to find. That is a lot of trash. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know if you can see in there or not. y'all, it's full of junk. So now I'm at a crossroads. I could probably clean this out, but it's pretty gross. It's a decent amount of work to pull one of these tanks, as you guys saw. I mean, it took me maybe an hour, but and it could be done quicker if I needed to, but it also is, it's just invasive, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's why so many people will do like they'll do like a trap door or something like that on their 3rd gen to be able to service the pump without pulling the tank, because it's such a big pain. I have a brand new tank that I have earmarked for the Berlinetta. I also have a brand new sending unit that I have earmarked for the Berlinetta. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and put that stuff in it. So not super ideal, but I can't put this back in. I mean, this is gonna be my dad's car. So let me go grab the other stuff. All right, got brand new tank. Now, it's got some kind of powder coating or something on it. Looks like maybe it was sprayed a little bit inside there, so maybe there's some corrosion protection. Anyway, I'm gonna put all this back together. So, I do have a Walbro 255 pump, which is probably a little more than what this engine needs, but it's going to give us a little bit of room for growth. So I'm going to put that on, and thankfully these cars are new enough that I can still get brand new sending units and stuff like that, just on, well, Rock Auto really. So go ahead and put this all back together and get it in the car. All right, all back up in there. So now we can move on to the next part of this, which I think is going to be some rear suspension. I'm going to go ahead and put a fresh set of shocks in. And then I found that this thing's got polyurethane bushings. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. It's already got poly bushings in the control arms and the panhard rod. So I'm going to pull those off and just grease them up real good. And put it all back together. So, but it'll have fresh shocks and fresh greased bushings. And oh yeah, I got some new springs for this too. I should grab those. Oof. All right, so now we got the fuel tank all back in there. We need to go ahead and put the rear end back up, and I figured this would be the perfect time to go ahead and throw the new shocks on, which, as you can see, I actually already did that. It's got a set, I put a set of just Monroe OE Spectrums, which are kind of like an OE replacement. With the way I want this car to drive and to handle, I felt like that was going to be the best bang for the buck. And they're cheap and easy to get as well. So for springs, we're going to run a set of UMIs. These are part number 2461. They're a lowering spring, but again, this car's had such a drastic trim on the factory springs that this should actually raise it up a little bit from what it was. I can't remember the exact drop on these. It's been a little while since I bought them. Let's see. Oh, cool. So you can actually get, I don't know if you can see that. They have a part number for just the fronts and just the rears. So that's good. UMI is actually one of the brands that I sell. So if you decide you want to get some of this, maybe give me a holler and I'll see if I can't get you set up. So I don't know why, but those ones were a lot heavier. Okay, let's open this up. Make sure these are the springs. I think they are. This has a R on the part number, and those have an F on the part number. So I can only assume that these are rear and those are front. One of my biggest goals for this car is to reduce the amount of squeaks and stuff like that they have. So in my parts bin, I actually found a set of OE spring isolators. So I'm gonna throw those on there too. Just seems like a good idea. Yeah, these are definitely the rear. All right, stickers. Everybody likes stickers. Stop. If there's a problem, do not return to the retail store. Cool. So if you have a problem with these, call UMI. Let's go ahead and get this stuff in there. Oh yeah. Perfect. Oh. Here's an old spring. It's funny how that works out. This should be a taller ride height than this, but the spring rates are different, so this will compress less, more or less, is the deal. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock these bushings out and grease them up. So the previous owner put polyurethane bushings in it, which is actually quite fantastic. I didn't realize that. I bought some rubber bushings. So I really like the way these perform, but I didn't really like the way they cost, and so this is kind of a score. But they need to be greased, otherwise they make a lot of noise. Alright, so this stuff is really sticky. It's designed specifically to work with the polyurethane bushings. And I think something that a lot of people don't realize is that polyurethane bushings are really meant to rotate, or at least the sleeve is meant to rotate inside the bushing. And without it, then you end up with a really squeaky situation. So definitely wear like some latex gloves or something when you're putting this stuff on, because man, you're not getting it off. And I probably look like a pansy putting this on all dainty with my fingers out, but I really don't want to get this stuff on my clothes. You can judge me if you want. The last thing that I want to do before I put this thing all back together is throw these lower control arm relocation brackets in. So I kind of forgotten I gotten these for him, and they're pretty straightforward, but if I recall correctly, they are a really tight, kind of a sucky fit. So I'm gonna fight these on, and you know what, so far not too bad. So why do you put the lower control arm relocation brackets on? Well, glad you asked. This fixes the instant center problem that occurs whenever you put lowering springs on the car. All right, and it's time to go and pull the lasagna out of the oven. Figure since we've got a brand new fuel pump in there, brand new tank, brand new sending unit, may as well go ahead, throw a brand new fuel filter at it, because I'm sure this is just as gross as the rest of it was. Oh, yeah, pretty yucky. When I was draining the fuel tank, I noticed that the fuel lines that were going from the hard line to the regulator and from the regulator to the fuel rail were pretty crusty. These are an old set of AeroQuip socketless style hoses where you kind of just push the hose onto a barbed hose end. And they're okay, but these braided lines, they hold up a whole heck of a lot better. So I went ahead and whipped these up real fast using some they're cutoffs that I had left over from doing the fuel systems that we use for the LS swaps now. So went ahead and I got all this assembled. It's really not too bad. Then after getting them all assembled, I went ahead and slapped them back in the car to wrap this part of this up. All right, well, that looks a whole heck of a lot better. All right, I was trying to fire this thing up and I found a blown fuse in where the fuel pump. Let's see if that fixes that. Oh man. Yep. All right. Yes. 60 psi or 58 thereabouts. Hang out right there for a second. Great success. All right, well, great news. We got the thing back up and running. The fuel pump seems a lot happier with the new fuel pump. So I am really kind of out of time to get into anything else on this particular video. I don't want these things running crazy long. This one's already a little over 22 minutes or so. But the next time you see this car, I think we're going to get into the front suspension. Go ahead and put new springs on that and struts, and I've got some new steering goodies for it as well. So really try and bring this thing back around, and then we can finally go drive the thing. And we can really start looking at just what else might be going on with it. I've got plans to do new interior stuff, and I've got all kinds of fun go fast goodies for it as well. We've got a new camshaft, Holley engine management system, as well as a set of headers and a converter. You know, the plan will be, of course, to take this thing out to the racetrack after the season starts back up here in March or so, and see if we can't get some times out of the thing. But anyways, so thanks guys for stopping in, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.